It's no secret that parking incorrectly or selfishly has its own set of consequences, and said consequences can be pretty severe depending on the sender.
My gosh!
Unbelievable.
Buckle up and see for yourself as we check out When People Take Revenge on Bad Parkers, Part 5. Starting off, we see what happens to a man's double-parked car after he was asked multiple times to move. Choosing to remain in both parking spots resulted in him losing both passenger tires. Next up, we see a car parked near the waters get greeted by the rear end of a large boat, and it's safe to assume this will probably be the parker's last time he decides to park on the dock. You really didn't want to be caught illegally parking on the streets back in 2011 with former mayor of Vilnius, Arturas Zuwakas, around. You might just end up with your car getting completely flattened by a tank. While this man didn't actually park incorrectly, he did fail to leave a paid parking lot on time, resulting in him being locked in. This can't be a fun time. Instead of finding another parking spot, this driver chose to deal with this double-parked truck by pushing it out of the way. And things don't end here. After parking, he gets out of the car and kicks the car before walking off. In the following scene, someone who stole a paid parking spot receives a rude awakening. When returning to their car, they realize they had been locked in by the rightful owner of the parking spot, leaving them with no other choice than to maneuver their way out. Looks like we have a double take of the same story. Lesson of the day: don't be a thief. Here's a warning not to park your car angled in the middle of the street. You might just end up saran wrapped like this car. If you park in unauthorized areas on the street, you might just end up in a crane ride straight off the premises. In this video, we see that it's likely a construction worker isn't going to postpone his job because your car is in the way. If you need a little more proof, here you go. If you get in a construction worker's way, the show's gotta go on one way or another. With swings like that, I wouldn't be surprised if this woman used to be a pro baseball player. After choosing to park poorly, I've got a bad feeling this man will never locate his car again. Reason being, he parked in an unauthorized area and got his car dropped in the water as a result.
Yikes!
The next bad parking catastrophe features a crazy story involving a farmer in Croatia, Davao Bedekovic. After some time, a flea market opened 5 minutes away from his land. The flea market opening was good news at first, knowing there would be an increase in demand for the farmer and convenient groceries if necessary within walking distance. But he soon realized that this would be nothing but a headache. With the village DeVal residing in being relatively small, there was simply not enough parking for the market's visitors, so people began to simply park right on DeVal's farm. At the start, there were only a few cars, so the farmer didn't think much of it. But a few cars turned into many, completely covering DeVal's land. With several warnings being completely ignored, the farmer came to the conclusion that these trespassers must be stopped by any means necessary. So the next time they arrived in his lot, he used his plow to dig a huge trench around the soil surrounding the cars, imprisoning all of the unauthorized parkers. One woman even tried to escape her fate, but her car ended up getting stuck in the trench during her attempt. The trespassers' initial reaction was to rush to the police to have DeVal arrested, but they were met with the harsh reality that due to it being his land, there was nothing they could actually do, and getting their cars back is something they'll have to figure out for themselves. Today, these parkers learn to never go parking on a person's farm without their permission. Parking in imaginary parking spots is never a good idea, especially when large trucks are always passing through the area. The damage done in this clip will definitely be a reminder not to take your chances. Blocking someone in usually never ends well, and this man chose to break out of confinement by any means necessary. Here's another lock-in, but unlike the last, this driver was way more gentle than the rest. But gentle or not, this driver opted not to allow himself to be locked in. This merciless tractor driver was determined to crush this bad parker's car and had zero intentions of allowing him to drive off. The parker soon realized his car's fate and escaped before he suffered the same fate as his car. In mere seconds, this car is flattened like a pancake. Super unlucky. That was one merciless tractor unleashing havoc on a poorly parked car. And here's another. A pretty harsh way to handle things if you ask me. But I guess they figured they had to get their message across one way or another. While those were pretty tragic scenes, it doesn't get any worse than this one. This van driver was so upset that his parking spot was taken that he rammed into the car in his spot multiple times. If that doesn't send a message, I don't know what will. Parking in narrow alleyways is never worth it, and this poor Range Rover pays the consequences of its driver's actions, showing exactly why it's such a bad idea. Here's more footage of why parking in narrow alleys isn't a risk worth taking. This motorcycle gets flipped over by a car for being in the way.
Hey!
These illegally parked car owners all returned to popped tires. Talk about a chain reaction.
No!
My bad. Did I call that a chain reaction? If anything's a chain reaction, it's this never-ending line of parkers who chose to park in a bike lane. My wallet hurts just looking at the sight of all these tickets. I'm sure this will be the last time these drivers decide to park in front of a warehouse and block the entrance after being forklifted away. Hey, at least those workers were kind enough to forklift the cars away, unlike this guy who decided to destroy this poorly parked car. One hammer strike at a time. This is definitely the kindest way I've seen someone deal with a bad parker. This individual decides to use a cushion to move a bad parker out of a handicap zone. I've seen this movie before. Block someone in, there's a good chance they'll break out. Someone made a bold decision to park under a leaking pipe, and we'll soon see that a parking spot for the night wasn't worth flooding the car. How unfortunate. With all that snow, there's a good chance the unauthorized parker will likely be able to keep their cool when they return. In another ice-cold scene, I can definitely say this is the first time I've seen a snow fortress built around a car. A friendly reminder to park in authorized parking spots. If you don't, you might just return to a garbage bin emptied on top of your car. Take 2 of garbage meets vehicle. Well, hey, at least this car doesn't actually have trash on it, but this still stinks nonetheless. When buses are on the move, a poorly parked car can't stop them from doing their job. I'm sure this bad parker will know for the next time when they return to this tragic scene. This parker thought they were in the clear when they beat another parker to the chase, but soon learned they messed with the wrong driver after getting locked in. Whilst the other driver has a sunroof to bypass the box in, this parking spot thief just might be out of luck.
You gotta be kidding me.
And yet we have another instance of a person who decided to borrow a paid parking spot. And like the last video, the person ended up getting locked in too. Good luck with this one. This woman decided she was going to escape this tow truck by any means necessary.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
This is one of the boldest moves seen in this video yet. As a woman blocks oncoming traffic to park, she soon finds the Jeep driver behind her was definitely the wrong person to block.
Yikes!
Take 3 on why, if you see a parking spot in a narrow alley, to look the other direction and run for the hills. I know how this story ends. Block a fire hydrant, there's a chance you'll be kissing your car windows goodbye. And if that video wasn't enough, here's another example on why to avoid parking in front of a fire hydrant at all costs.
Command to the Rocky, engine 7. Was the EMS assigned to box 7170? Where you guys located?
When this guy saw a cop breaking the rules by back-in parking in a no back-in parking zone, he decided to leave a little message on the cop's windshield. Next scene features another cop not playing by the rules. Just this time, the consequences are much more severe than a warning. Where there's a will, there's a way, and nothing was going to stop this determined man from removing this car from the street. Parking in handicapped spots without a permit is always a no-go. If you need some proof, witness this unfortunate parker not only receive a $450 ticket, but also a quick tow straight out of town. And yet again, another person parking in a disabled parking spot doesn't go unchecked. But this time, nature's the one delivering the karma, straight to the car windshield. Looks like cops are put on the spot again, and in this scene, a cop is served a ticket for parking in a handicapped zone. The owner of this trailer decided to continuously park in front of their neighbors, blocking them in, until eventually Mother Nature handles the situation. One day when trying to drive away, their car was too frozen to budge an inch. Talk about some karma. Once again, we see why parking in make-believe parking spots is a terrible idea. This guy will be returning to his car covered in unpleasant messages. No good. When catching bad parkers in the moment, not everyone is able to catch the action on video. With that said, it's time for today's special picks of the day, showing some of the wildest parking karma moments of all time. The parking madness is coming to an end for now. But after seeing these insane servings of bad karma delivered to drivers, I don't know about you, but I've definitely been influenced to treat other drivers with care and respect when out on the road. If you can agree, feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below. Be sure to drive safe, and we'll catch you in the next one. Later!